Yo, hoop fans, your sideline sage, Tips and Upstreams, is lacing up once again. On deck, deep dives into the freshest NBA clashes, ready to set the planks ablaze. But before we jump the ball, be sure to hammer that subscribe on our YouTube channel to keep hooked with our sharp forecasts and prime selections. All right, let's bounce into today's NBA Crystal Ball reads. The first prediction for today is for the game between Golden State Warriors and Charlotte Hornets. As the Golden State Warriors gear up to clash with the Charlotte Hornets at the Spectrum Center, this game has captured the imagination of NBA fans far and wide. With the Warriors cruising on a wave of momentum from triumphs over the Heat and Magic, they hit Charlotte sporting a 38-34 record. Their knack for shining in the clutch, especially on hostile turfs, is fully displayed. The offensive firepower of Golden State is a force to be reckoned with, dropping an average of 118 points on 47.3% shooting. Stephen Curry, the maestro of this orchestra, is dishing out a sweet tune of 26.5 points and 5 assists per outing. Yet, their defensive game, giving up 116.2 points at 46.8% from the field, shows they're not invincible. On the flip side, the Charlotte Hornets, with a less rosy record of 18-54, are crafting their own story of determination. Despite a tough season, their recent upset over the Cavaliers hints at a flicker of revival. With an offensive output of 106.3 points on 45.8% shooting, led by Miles Bridges and the rising star Brandon Miller, the Hornets have moments of brilliance. Still, their defense, leaking 116.8 points at a league-worst 49.4%, remains their Achilles heel. A pivotal aspect of this showdown is the Warriors' proven track record in handling back-to-back games, demonstrating grit and flexibility. These qualities will be tested against a Hornets squad aiming to leverage their home court. Historical trends favor the Warriors on the road, bolstered by their streak of 10 consecutive wins in such scenarios. Golden State's edge in rebounding and beyond the arc, along with their knack for causing turnovers, gives them the upper hand against Charlotte. Looking at their past meetings in Charlotte, the Warriors have been the dominant force, a factor that could sway this game's outcome. Nonetheless, the Hornets' recent tactical shifts and the dynamic play of their young talents are too significant to ignore. Weighing both teams' strengths, including Golden State's scoring efficiency against Charlotte's defensive struggles, the scales tip towards the Warriors clinching a win. Their sharpshooting and board dominance, coupled with strategic superiority, set them up for success. However, the Hornets' latest performances and the possibility of an offensive showdown suggest a tighter battle than expected. Hence, the most likely scenario sees the Charlotte Hornets beating the spread, with the total points surpassing the 216.5 mark, given the offensive and defensive dynamics at play. While there's a temptation to back the Warriors to win by a wide margin, especially away from home, I'm cautious. Currently, both teams are hitting their stride. The Hornets' rejuvenated lineup has elevated their game, and the motivated Warriors are all in for a play-in tournament berth. My analysis leans towards a Warriors win, but a 12-point spread seems a stretch. Therefore, I predict the Charlotte Hornets will beat the 12-point spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Los Angeles Lakers and Indiana Pacers. In the buzzing arena of Gainbridge Fieldhouse, the battle lines are drawn between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Indiana Pacers for a basketball showdown that's got the hoops community on the edge of their seats. Riding a wave of momentum with victories over top-tier squads such as the Hawks, 76ers, Pacers, Bucks, and Grizzlies, the Lakers are bringing the heat with an offensive onslaught, averaging 118.1 points on a scorching 49.8% from the field. Their court dominance is clear, but don't sleep on the Pacers. Indiana's scoring machine is firing on all cylinders, leading the league with 122.9 points per game on a sharp 50.5% shooting. The Lakers have been flexing their muscles on the road, showcasing their grit and capability to conquer away from their stronghold. Despite nursing injuries, LeBron James and Anthony Davis are the heart and soul of the Lakers' playbook, turning in performances that prove it's not just star wattage, but depth and strategy that define them. While their defense might not top the charts, it's had its moments of brilliance capable of throwing the Pacers off their game. On the flip side, the Pacers, fresh off a tough road stretch, aim to capitalize on their fortress at Gainbridge. Tyrese Halliburton dishing out dimes left and right, and Pascal Siakam consistently lighting up the scoreboard, spearhead Indians' multifaceted offensive assault. Their sharp shooting from downtown and overall field goal efficiency brand them as a threat not to be taken lightly. Past duels in this venue have been unpredictable, adding to the suspense. However, Indiana's slight superiority in shooting accuracy and their prowess from beyond the arc might just give them the upper hand, especially when you factor in the Lakers' defensive soft spots. The Pacers' form on their own turf versus the Lakers' road fatigue introduces an intriguing dynamic to this clash. Injuries could tip the scales, with Davis's participation in doubt. His impact in their last encounter was pivotal. Without him at peak performance, the Lakers might struggle to keep up their scoring rhythm. While LeBron's condition isn't as dire, it raises questions about the Lakers' ability to keep the pace. Considering the Pacers' scoring dynamo, the Lakers' road fatigue, and the tactical chess match both teams are set to play, we're in for a neck-and-neck battle. With the home court in their corner and possibly facing a Lakers squad minus a fully fit Davis, the Pacers seem poised to take the advantage. Their knack for exploiting defensive weaknesses, combined with their scoring efficiency, should see them beat the spread. Given the offensive juggernauts both teams have been and their recent track records, banking on a high-scoring showdown is a safe bet. Expect the total points to soar past the set line, fueled by aggressive attacks and defensive lapses. Wrapping up, this face-off between the Lakers and Pacers encapsulates the sheer unpredictability and thrill of NBA hoops. With each team boasting a formidable offense but navigating their respective hurdles, the Pacers, leveraging their home court prowess and slightly sharper shooting, are tipped to outscore the Lakers in a blockbuster encounter. Despite the Lakers' recent hot streak, banking on a repeat performance against the Pacers seems optimistic. Anticipate the Pacers to surpass the 2.5-point spread, with the total points eclipsing the 241-point threshold. My money's on the Pacers to clinch it. The next prediction for today is for the game between Los Angeles Clippers and Orlando Magic. In the electrifying ambiance of the Kia Center this Friday, an epic showdown is on the horizon as the Los Angeles Clippers gear up to take on the Orlando Magic, showcasing their distinct play styles and strategic prowess. Throughout the season, both squads have experienced their fair share of highs and lows, yet they arrive at this confrontation armed with fascinating dynamics and standout performances that could sway the outcome in either direction. The Clippers, boasting a robust average of 116.3 points per game with a field goal percentage of 49.2%, have demonstrated their knack for dominating the scoreboard. The lethal combination of Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and James Harden has been particularly formidable, contributing a significant portion of the team's offensive firepower. Their recent cliffhanger victory over the 76ers, clinched by star performances and a stalwart defense marked by 11 blocks, underscores their caliber to thrive under duress. Conversely, the Orlando Magic, despite a recent setback against the Warriors, have displayed burgeoning synergy and determination. With an average scoring of 110.6 points on 47.8% shooting, their standout rookie Paolo Banchero, alongside Franz Wagner and Jalen Suggs, has kept them in the hunt. The Magic's tenacity, particularly noted in their performance as home underdogs against teams from the Western Conference, signals their propensity for springing surprises. Analyzing the specifics, the Clippers' prowess on the road and their victories against Southeast Division rivals with winning records pose a significant hurdle for the Magic. Nonetheless, Orlando's impressive 45-27 record against the spread, highlighting their adeptness at outperforming expectations, especially on their home turf, warrants attention. Historical encounters at the Kia Center have often tipped in favor of the hosts, showcasing the Magic's ability to capitalize on their home court edge. With the Clippers' recent bouts of inconsistency and the Magic's profitable ATS trend, the stage is set for a nail-biting face-off, with the odds of an upset looming large. Injury updates and team dynamics leading up to the match are pivotal. The Clippers' dependence on their marquee players means any injury-related constraints could notably affect their strategy. On the flip side, the Magic's depth and strategic deployment of their youthful roster could offer the versatility needed to counter and prevail. When it comes to stats, both teams are evenly matched offensively, yet the Magic's slight superiority in defensive metrics and their home performance suggest they might curtail the Clippers' scoring spree. Moreover, the Magic's track record of beating the spread as home underdogs adds an extra layer of intrigue to the forecast. Taking into account the Clippers' recent against-the-spread struggles and the Magic's solid against-the-spread history, the prediction veers towards the Magic not only beating the 2-point spread but also possibly clinching a victory. Their defensive rigor against the Clippers trio and capitalizing on any visitor fatigue or inconsistency will be key. In essence, while the Clippers boast star-studded offensive might, the Magic's resilience, home advantage, and knack for beating the spread position them as the favored choice for this duel. Anticipate a tightly contested bout, with the Magic leveraging their underdog stature to surpass the 2-point margin, perhaps even snatching a direct win. My bet is on the Orlando Magic to outdo the 2-point spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Detroit Pistons and Washington Wizards. As the Detroit Pistons lace up to take on the Washington Wizards at the Capital One Arena, we're on the brink of witnessing a showdown between two squads whose records might not top the NBA charts, but whose competitive sparks are just waiting to catch fire. The Pistons, trying to shake off a recent skid, including a tough loss to the Timberwolves, are at a crucial juncture. Anchored at the bottom of the Eastern Conference, they're putting up 110.8 points, a game on 46.6% shooting, but it's their defense, letting through a glaring 120 points to adversaries that's sounding the alarm. Cade Cunningham, with an impressive tally of 22.3 points and 4.3 rebounds per game, is at the helm of a team struggling to hit its stride, a situation made worse by injuries that have benched key players like Thompson and Stewart for the season. This has left a significant void in their lineup, impacting their effectiveness on the court and piling on the pressure for players like Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren to elevate their game. On the flip side, the Wizards, coming off a recent bump against the Nets that halted their 3-game winning streak, are showcasing their grit. With an offense averaging 113.7 points on 47% shooting, thanks to the efforts of Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole, they've been outpacing Detroit's offensive output. Yet, their defense, the most generous in the league by conceding 123.4 points per game, has been their Achilles heel, leaving them vulnerable but still capable of outgunning the Pistons. The narrative thickens with a history of the Wizards holding sway in their recent home games against the Pistons, boasting 14 straight nighttime victories. This psychological advantage is not to be overlooked, especially in a clash that could be decided by the slimmest of margins. Injury updates further skew the balance, with the Pistons, possibly without Cunningham and Ivey, crucial for their scoring efforts. Despite their own injury woes, the Wizards have demonstrated their capacity to bounce back, highlighted by Poole's standout showing against the Nets. Statistically, the Wizards edge out slightly in offense, which might tip the scales in a contest where defense seems to be on the back burner. The Pistons, with their shaky three-point shooting and a defense that hemorrhages points, may struggle to match the Wizards' scoring rhythm. Considering the home court advantage, recent performances, and their head-to-head track record, the Wizards are in a prime position to exploit the Pistons' weak spots. Though both teams are out of the playoff race, the battle for pride and a strong finish will stoke their competitive flames. Given the Wizards' history of triumphs over the Pistons on their turf and the current scenario, the forecast leans towards a Wizards victory, likely surpassing the 4-point line. With a total points line set at 227.5, anticipate a high-octane encounter that exceeds the points tally, underscoring both teams' preference for offense over defense. The Wizards are predicted to surpass the 4-point in a matchup destined to eclipse the total points mark, extending their home dominance over the Pistons. The next prediction for today is for the game between Chicago Bulls and Brooklyn Nets. At the Barclays Center, where the air crackles with anticipation, the Chicago Bulls and Brooklyn Nets, two titans of the Eastern Conference, are gearing up for a showdown that could pivot their playoff dreams. The Bulls, perched at 9th in the conference, have recently broken free from the shackles of a losing streak with a decisive triumph over Indiana, signaling their fierce resolve to clinch their spot in the play-in round. On the flip side, the Nets, lurking at 11th, have stitched together back-to-back wins, keeping their playoff hopes on a lifeline. With the countdown at just 9 games left in the regular saga, the clash stakes are sky-high. The Bulls, despite wrestling with key player injuries including Zach LaVine's sidelining, have displayed unparalleled grit and hustle. DeMar DeRozan, leading the charge in points and assists, together with Nikola Vucevic's reign over the rebounds, have spotlighted their recent victory against the Pacers, not just snapping a losing streak but showcasing their prowess in shooting accuracy and board domination. They've shown brightest when outpacing their adversaries in field goal and three-point shootouts, a streak they're hungry to perpetuate. The Nets, teetering in a tight spot, haven't thrown in the towel just yet. With Cam Thomas and Mikal Bridges at the helm of their scoring arsenal, their recent victories have been hallmarked by stringent defense and critical game-changing performances, essential weapons against the Bulls' charge. The history books show the Nets holding the upper hand in their recent face-offs with the Bulls, clinching the last two battles. This dominance, particularly on their home turf, underscores the home court advantage as a pivotal game-changer in this rivalry. Injury woes loom large over this face-off, with both squads missing crucial players. The Bulls, without Levine, Phillips, and Williams, might see their scoring and defensive lines falter. The Nets, sidelined with Bates, Diop, Simmons, and potentially Johnson, need their bench to rise to the occasion, especially in rebounds and defense. Diving into the stats, the Bulls' offensive machinery has been hit or miss this season, lagging in scoring and shooting efficiencies. The Nets share a similar narrative, with both teams neck and neck in offensive and defensive dynamics. However, the Bulls have a slight rebounding edge, a leverage they aim to exploit to dictate the game's rhythm. Peering into the game's mechanics, the Nets' recent home performance against Central Division adversaries and their knack for covering the spread in such matches stand out. Conversely, the Bulls' record post-victory against Eastern Conference rivals suggests a potential performance dip. With the game's criticality at a fever pitch for both squads, the spotlight is on Brooklyn's resilience and their historical edge over Chicago at Barclays. The Bulls may have the firepower to challenge the spread, but the Nets, fueled by desperation and marginal statistical upper hands, might just defy the odds. In essence, as Chicago vies for a seed elevation, Brooklyn's playoff contention struggle promises to infuse this duel with unmatched fervor and resolve. Banking on the Nets' home advantage and recent momentum, I foresee Brooklyn not just covering the 5-point spread, but also steering the total points below the 214.5 benchmark. Thus, betting on the Nets to surpass this line and favoring the under for total points emerge as judicious forecasts. The next prediction for today is for the game between Philadelphia 76ers and Cleveland Cavaliers. In the adrenaline-fueled arena of the NBA, where each clash has the power to rewrite the story, the Philadelphia 76ers and the Cleveland Cavaliers are gearing up for an electrifying face-off at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. This showdown is particularly riveting, with both squads battling through rough patches recently. The 76ers are trying to bounce back from injuries and contentious losses, while the Cavaliers are looking to recover from a series of setbacks and erratic performances. This crucial juncture adds an extra layer of excitement to their encounter. Philadelphia's trek to Cleveland follows a gut-wrenching defeat by a single point to the Clippers, a game overshadowed by a disputed final decision. In the absence of key players like Joel Embiid, DeAnthony Melton, and Robert Covington, the 76ers demonstrated their grit, with Tyrese Maxey lighting up the scoreboard and showcasing their attacking strength, averaging 114.1 points per game with a shooting accuracy of 46.3%. Philly's attack is formidable, yet has shown fluctuations, as reflected in their 39-34 record. Defensively, the 76ers have stood firm, conceding 112 points per game and proving to be a force from the three-point line. Their defensive tenacity, particularly in curbing opponents' three-point success to 35.4%, will be pivotal in this contest. On the flip side, the Cavaliers, even without Donovan Mitchell, have displayed moments of excellence. Scoring an average of 112.7 points at a 47.8% success rate, their offensive game is slightly behind Philadelphia's. However, Cleveland's defense outshines, allowing 109.4 points per game at a 45.9% rate, placing them among the elite defensive teams. Historically, the 76ers have had the upper hand in matchups in Philadelphia, often securing wins against the Cavaliers, especially after losses. This pattern, combined with Cleveland's difficulty in fulfilling expectations against Atlantic Division teams, hints at a possible upset. However, the stats only scratch the surface. Factors like Philadelphia's fervent quest for redemption after their controversial defeat and Cleveland's eagerness to overcome their losing streak will be crucial. With the Cavaliers favored by 8 points and the total points margin set at 212.5, this match is expected to be tightly contested. Philadelphia's track record against the spread, particularly away from home, and their knack for rallying under pressure indicate they might beat the spread, if not win outright. The missing key players add unpredictability, but the 76ers' resilience and strategic edge could sway the outcome in their favor. To wrap up, while the Cavaliers may have home court and are theoretically favored, the 76ers' resolve and their performance against the spread point to them beating the spread. With both teams finding it tough to consistently put up high scores, betting on the under for a 212.5 total points margin seems wise. Anticipate a fiercely contested match, with Philadelphia likely to defy the odds, making them a smart wager. My money's on the Philadelphia 76ers to beat the spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Portland Trailblazers and Miami Heat. In the electric atmosphere of the Kaseya Center, a clash of titans is set to unfold as the Portland Trailblazers square off against the Miami Heat in a must-watch NBA battle. The Trailblazers, currently navigating the rough waters at the bottom of the Western Conference with a 19-54 record, have hit a rough patch, dropping 8 consecutive games and losing 9 of their last 10. The Miami Heat, sitting at 39-33, are on the cusp of clinching a play-in tournament spot, aiming to solidify their standing in the Eastern Conference. Portland's challenging season, plagued by significant injuries and mounting losses, underscores a team in the midst of a rebuild. With critical players such as Anthony Simons and Jerami Grant out of action, the Blazers have leaned heavily on their emerging talent. This youth movement, while showcasing potential, has frequently been their Achilles heel, as seen in their recent 120-106 defeat to the Atlanta Hawks, where turnovers and defensive shortcomings were their undoing. The absence of their stars has taken a toll on their offense, dragging them to the lower echelons in points scored, shooting accuracy, and three-point efficiency. Their defense hasn't been much of a silver lining either, revealing a squad struggling to carve out a niche. Contrastingly, the Miami Heat represent a blend of steadiness and unpredictability. Despite missing Jimmy Butler for several games, the Heat have managed to stay competitive, largely due to Bam Adebayo's steady contributions and the occasional sparkle from their supporting cast. However, their recent performances, a mix of victories and defeats, suggest a quest for consistency. The Heat have also been hampered by injuries, with Tyler Herro and Duncan Robinson among those sidelined. Yet, their formidable defense stands out, ranking among the league's elite, underscoring their tough, resilient gameplay. A look at recent encounters in Miami hints at a potential concern for the Heat. Despite their tough season, Portland has remained competitive on the road against Eastern Conference teams, as evidenced by their commendable performance against the spread. Miami, meanwhile, has shown vulnerability at home against Western Conference opponents, often struggling to overcome large point spreads. Given the Miami Heat's robust defensive stats, particularly their prowess in limiting opponents' shooting percentages and their superior turnover management compared to the Blazers, Miami appears to have the edge. Despite Portland's energetic efforts, their road struggles and Miami's home court performance indicate the Heat are poised for a win. Nonetheless, a 14-point spread seems a steep hill for Miami, given their scoring inconsistencies and Portland's resilience. The Blazers' young squad, free from the burden of expectations, might leverage Miami's injury concerns and recent scoring lulls to keep the game tighter than expected. The over-under set at 209.5 points appears within reach, considering the current form of both teams. While Miami's defense may suppress Portland's offense, the Blazers' lively gameplay, combined with Miami's scoring capabilities, should nudge the total points over the threshold. Expect the Miami Heat to notch up a win, fueled by their defensive strength and home advantage. However, the Portland Trail Blazers, armed with youthful vigor and a fearless approach, are poised to beat the spread, promising a closer contest than odds may predict. For the total points, a slight push above 209.5 seems a smart bet, with offensive sparks expected to fly from both ends. While I see the Trailblazers covering the 14 points, my money's on the total points, surpassing 209.5. The next prediction for today is for the game between Phoenix Suns and Oklahoma City Thunder. Tonight's NBA face-off at the Paycom Center is far from just another game on the calendar. It's a crucial showdown between the Phoenix Suns and the Oklahoma City Thunder, each vying for a pivotal position within the Western Conference. The Suns, boasting a record of 43-30, are fiercely battling to climb out of the shadow of the play-in tournament, while the Thunder, with an impressive 50-22 tally, are setting their sights on clinching the conference's top spot. This matchup unfolds against a backdrop of form and fitness worries, adding intriguing layers to any prediction attempts. The Suns are riding into Oklahoma on a high, having bagged wins in 4 of their last 5 games, highlighted by a significant triumph over the Denver Nuggets. Kevin Durant has been leading the charge for Phoenix, exhibiting his scoring finesse. Yet, it's the combined force of Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal that's been the Suns' powerhouse this season. Despite their offensive strengths, Phoenix's tendency to falter in the final stretch can't be ignored, particularly against a resilient Thunder squad. Conversely, the Thunder have emerged as this season's dark horses, defying Western Conference expectations. Guided by Mark Daigneault and the exceptional performance of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they've soared beyond projections. However, the shadow of Gilgeous-Alexander's potential absence due to a quad injury casts a pall over this encounter, especially with the Thunder's winless record sans him. Oklahoma City's scoring and defense stats are noteworthy, but the Suns' recent form and their push to avoid the play-in could even the odds. Analyzing the team's head-to-head matchups and their recent form in Oklahoma City is critical. Traditionally, the Thunder have dominated the Suns at home, but Phoenix's lineup this season is potentially its most formidable yet, possibly shifting the balance. Additionally, the Suns' performance on the road and the Thunder's recent difficulties with spreads offer more angles to this analysis. Injuries are also crucial, with Jusuf Nurkic's participation for the Suns hanging in the balance, and the Thunder possibly missing their MVP contender, SGA. The impact of these potential absences is significant in such a high-stakes game. Considering all factors, including the Suns' drive to dodge the play-in tournament and the Thunder's aim for the top seed, alongside statistical insights and recent performances, this clash is shaping up to be a nail-biter. Phoenix's propensity for a strong start, Oklahoma City's possible weariness, and the uncertainty around SGA's play slightly skew the forecast in favor of the Suns. Despite the Thunder's tenacity and home court edge, the Suns' determination, coupled with their star power and Oklahoma City's recent spread struggles, suggests Phoenix will surpass the 2.5-point spread. The Suns' scoring dynamism, particularly if Nurkic is in action, should see them past the Thunder's defense in the likely absence of Gilgeous-Alexander. Moreover, with a total points line at 226.5, the offensive prowess of both squads makes the over a compelling pick, hinting at a high-scoring clash. To sum up, the Phoenix Suns are poised not just to secure a victory, but also to likely surpass the spread. Their urgency, matched with the Thunder's hurdles, promises an electrifying game that could be closely contested until the last buzzer. My prediction leans towards the Suns covering and favoring the over for total points, forecasting a battle ripe with offensive spectacle and playoff fervor. The next prediction for today is for the game between New York Knicks and San Antonio Spurs. In the charged atmosphere of the Frostbank Center, the stage is set for an electrifying NBA face-off between the New York Knicks and the San Antonio Spurs. Fresh from a winning streak that includes victories over the Nets, Pistons, and Raptors, the Knicks hit the court with a high-octane offense, dropping an average of 112.4 points per game with a shooting accuracy of 46.3%. Jalen Brunson shines as the spearhead of their offense, netting an average of 27.4 points, with Julius Randle's powerhouse performance somewhat in jeopardy due to a shoulder injury. Yet, the Knicks have displayed remarkable depth and resilience, especially evident in their stunning 145-101 rout of the Raptors, with Miles McBride stepping in to deliver a career-best 29 points. Conversely, the Spurs are weaving a tale of burgeoning talent and untapped potential, with Victor Wembanyama at the forefront. Despite a challenging season reflected in their 1756 record, the Spurs have glimmered with moments of excellence, including a notable win over Utah. Their scoring, while slightly behind the Knicks, averages at 111.9 points per game on a 46.2% shooting rate, illuminated by Wembanyama's standout contributions. When it comes to defense, the Knicks lead with a robust stance, conceding only 107.5 points per game on 46.7% shooting, marking them as one of the premier defensive teams. This starkly contrasts with the Spurs, who yield 119.2 points on 49.1% shooting. The Knicks' defensive acumen, paired with their scoring efficiency and rebounding prowess, positions them as the clear frontrunners. The historical matchups in this city also lean towards the Knicks, who have consistently outperformed the Spurs in recent clashes. Their command over the game's rhythm, combined with the Spurs' defensive gaps, signals a Knicks advantage. Yet, the dynamics of back-to-back games could be a deciding factor. Historical data suggests that teams playing their second game in as many nights often show signs of fatigue, impacting their performance. Should this scenario unfold, it may influence the game's outcome. With the Knicks' depth and the Spurs' phase of growth, the Knicks appear more adept at navigating these challenges. The Spurs' youthful vigor, led by Wembanyama, poses a potential threat to any team. However, the Knicks, under Coach Thibodeau's strategic defensive leadership, are likely to emerge victorious. Their blend of scoring efficiency, defensive strength, and rebounding capability, even without Randle, earmarks them as the probable winners. The game's pivot will likely hinge on the Knicks' capacity to exploit the Spurs' defensive frailties, while maintaining their defensive coherence against the Spurs' youthful zest. With the Knicks eyeing a higher playoff seeding and the Spurs focused on pride and progression, the motivational divide is clear. Considering the stats, the Knicks' superior defense, and the Spurs' defensive challenges, the Knicks are tipped for victory. Nonetheless, the recent high-scoring affairs of the Spurs and the Knicks' offensive firepower hint at a total score exceeding the anticipated 212 points. In essence, while the Knicks are favored to clinch the win, the standout wager lies in betting on the total points to exceed the benchmark. The Knicks' potent offense, paired with the Spurs' knack for engaging in score-heavy games, signals a matchup dominated by offensive play. Thus, the smart bet is on the game breaking past the over-under threshold, with a prediction for the total points to soar beyond the set line of 212 points. The next prediction for today is for the game between Minnesota Timberwolves and Denver Nuggets. In an electrifying face-off at the Western Conference, the Ball Arena turns into a battleground as the Denver Nuggets play host to the Minnesota Timberwolves. This clash of the Titans sees the conference's leading teams go head-to-head, with the Nuggets narrowly leading by half a game over the Timberwolves. So far, the season's rivalry is deadlocked, with each squad claiming victory on the opponent's turf, teeing up a decisive showdown that could hint at the drama of the Western Conference Finals. The Timberwolves are charging hard, racking up 3 consecutive wins and dominating 6 of their last 7 games. This hot streak keeps them breathing down the Nuggets' necks. Despite a challenging record of 24-13 in away games and a stumble in Denver with 5 losses, they're not slowing down. With Karl Anthony Towns out until mid-April, the spotlight shifts to Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert, who have risen to the occasion with standout performances. The Timberwolves' defensive steel, leading the league in shutting down opponents' field goals and three-pointers, will be key to curbing the Nuggets' offensive thrust. On the flip side, the Nuggets have clawed their way back to the top of the West with 8 victories in their last 10 games. Their fortress at Ball Arena, boasting a 29-7 record, will be their ace in the hole. Yet, Jamal Murray's ankle woes cast a shadow over their lineup. Nikola Jokic remains the cornerstone of the Nuggets, orchestrating their offensive play, which might need tweaking if Murray can't suit up. Digging into the stats, the Timberwolves boast a league-leading defense that throttles opponents' scoring, while the Nuggets, although not as sharp as last season offensively, still wield a lethal attack. The contest will hinge on rebounding and three-point shooting, areas where both teams have shown their mettle and flaws. Looking back, Denver has had the upper hand in recent home games against the Timberwolves. However, the Timberwolves' current momentum, particularly on the road, is too significant to overlook. Even without Towns, their resilience and depth shine through, with Gobert and Reed stepping up in the paint. Denver's dynamic without Murray might shift the balance, considering his crucial role against competitive teams. As we gear up for this showdown, with high stakes, injury updates, and tactical matchups on the line, expect a nail-biter. The Nuggets are the favorites, but the Timberwolves have a knack for defying odds, making them a formidable contender for covering the spread. Given the defensive prowess of the Timberwolves and the Nuggets' potential lineup hitches, betting on the Timberwolves to beat the spread seems wise. The total points bet is up in the air, but leaning towards a defensive showdown suggests a total score slightly below 211.5, particularly if key players are sidelined or limited. My money's on the Minnesota Timberwolves to cover the spread in this intense duel. The next prediction for today is for the game between Houston Rockets and Utah Jazz. Tonight, the court's set to ignite as the Houston Rockets face off against the Utah Jazz in the heart of Delta Center, a clash that promises more than just a game of basketball. The Rockets are on fire, blazing through a 10-game win streak, and they're not just here to keep the flame alive, they're eyeing a slot in the playoffs. Their recent conquests, including toppling giants like the Thunder, Cavaliers, and Kings, showcase a team reborn, powered by a lethal combo of slicing offense and a defense that's tough as nails. With an offense racking up an average of 114.4 points per game at a 46.1% success rate, matched by a defense that's stingy, allowing only 112.6 points and excelling in thwarting three-pointers and field goals alike, Houston's game is tight. Meanwhile, the Utah Jazz find themselves in a bind, dragged down by a 7-game losing streak. Their defense is bleeding points, covering up 120.8 points per game, positioning them near the bottom league-wide, their Achilles heel. A porous defense against the three-point barrage, placing them last. Despite their offense putting up a respectable 116.5 points per game, it hasn't been enough to plug the gap left by their faltering defense. The face-off at Delta Center has been unpredictable in the past, but given the Rockets' recent form and their away record, caution would be the word. Yet, this Rocket squad has defied expectations, notably with their recent trouncing of the Jazz at a staggering 147-119. Injury reports could be a game-changer tonight. The Rockets, despite their hot streak, are missing key players like Alperen Sengun and Steven Adams, which could thin out their front line. On the flip side, the Jazz might be down key talents like Lauri Markkanen and Jordan Clarkson, adding to their challenges. Given the current form, Houston's dynamic offense and tightened defense position them as the team to beat. The Jazz's struggle to defend the perimeter might just be the weak link the Rockets' sharpshooters need to exploit. Houston's knack for beating the spread, paired with the Jazz's downward spiral, sets the Rockets as favorites to not just win, but also beat the 7.5-point spread. Houston's zealous defense against the three-point shot is a bad matchup for a Jazz team that's been defensively dismal from downtown. With playoff aspirations fueling them, the Rockets have much to play for, unlike a Jazz team looking towards the off-season. Considering team dynamics, injuries, and recent forms, the Rockets are primed to keep their winning streak alive and push for the playoffs. The Jazz's perimeter defense woes and key player absences tip the scales in Houston's favor. Expect the Rockets to exploit the Jazz's weaknesses, using their offensive and defensive strides to clinch the win and cover the 7.5-point spread. With the total points set at 229.5, betting on an over seems like a solid move, given both teams' offensive capabilities and the Jazz's defensive mishaps. My money's on the Houston Rockets to secure the win, cover the 7.5-point spread, and push the total points over 229.5. The last prediction for today is for the game between Dallas Mavericks and Sacramento Kings. In a critical clash for Western Conference supremacy, the Dallas Mavericks are gearing up to go head-to-head with the Sacramento Kings at the Golden One Center. This showdown is more than just a game. It's a battle for playoff positioning that sees the Mavericks aiming to extend their stellar 5-game win streak, while the Kings are hungry for vengeance, following a tough loss to Dallas on their own turf. Riding a wave of momentum, Dallas has clinched victory in 9 of their last 10 matches, placing them a hair's breadth away from overtaking the New Orleans Pelicans for a better seed in the West. The Mavericks have been lighting up the scoreboard with an average of 118.8 points per game at a shooting success rate of 48.3%, propelled by Luka Doncic's top-tier scoring and playmaking skills. Kyrie Irving and Tim Hardaway Jr. have been crucial in bolstering Dallas's offensive might, making them a threat to any challenger. Conversely, the Sacramento Kings have demonstrated grit, bouncing back time and again to keep their playoff dreams alive. Averaging 117.3 points per game, the Kings' offensive charge is led by De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. Yet, their defense has been less than stellar, especially evident in their last showdown with the Mavericks, where they let Dallas run rampant in the latter half. The outcome of this face-off may well hinge on both teams' recent performances at the Golden One Center. Home court advantage has historically been a game-changer, and though the Kings boast a strong home record, their recent thrashing by the Mavericks casts doubt on their ability to hold down the fort against elite competition. Moreover, the two teams have shown varying efficiency in shooting and rebounding in different settings. The Mavericks shine on the road with exceptional three-point shooting and defensive play that curtails opponents' scoring runs. On the other hand, the Kings have been vulnerable defensively, particularly in guarding the three-point line, a weakness the Mavericks are primed to exploit. The series history in Sacramento will be pivotal in foreseeing the victor. Despite the Kings being the bookmakers' slight favorites, the Mavericks' recent form and their decisive win in the previous encounter tilt the odds in their favor. Injury reports and the impact of role players and bench strength could also influence the game's direction, especially in a neck-and-neck battle. Considering the Mavericks' recent dominance, offensive efficiency, and road resilience, they're in a prime position to best the Kings once more. While Sacramento will undoubtedly give it their all, especially backed by their home crowd, Dallas's momentum and strategic edge should enable them to not just win but also cover the spread. My bet's on the Dallas Mavericks to beat the spread.